Do you prefer to use weapons with high potential rather than ones with great consistency? Do you wish to use a weapon that rewards you for getting a kill streak? Do you take the phrase "getting some head" in the most literal way possible? If you said yes to any of my inquiries, I have the guide for you. How yin's doing? I'm Ian, and this is my TF2 How to Kill Streak series, where we look at the best and worst TF2 has on offer, and I show you how to get a kill streak with it. Because everything is a bad idea until it works. Today, we'll be covering the Eyelander, so without further ado, let's get into it. Decapitation! The Eyelander is a melee weapon for the Demo Man added back in the War update in 2009, and is one of, if not the most iconic weapon in the game. Hell, this weapon is so well known within the community that in TF2's official comics, it actually has a role as a side character. If you want this blade for yourself, it can be acquired from the Demo Man Milestone 2 achievement. As for what it does, this is a sword for the Demo Man, meaning your melee weapon's range will be bigger than with normal melee weapons. However, this does come at the cost of it taking longer to pull out. Worse still, your base HP is reduced by 25 and you're incapable of getting random crits with this melee weapon whatsoever. To compensate for these downsides, every melee kill you get with this melee weapon allows you to collect the heads of those you've slain in order to boost both your maximum health and movement speed, whilst healing you for 15 HP. Once you've reached 2 heads, you'll actually have more HP as a Demo Man than you would be if you were using a different melee weapon. Please bear in mind, however, that the collecting heads mechanic has a soft cap at 4 heads. Since once you've collected 4 heads, you stop getting any increase to your maximum health, as well as no boost to your movement speed whatsoever. This might sound like a huge downside, but remember, once you have the 4 heads, your base movement speed is faster than a scout, and your health is second only to a heavy. And if you're struggling to get 1 or 2 kills in order to get that ball rolling, keep an eye out for enemy Demo Men who are also using this melee weapon. This melee weapon has many reskins, most famously consisting of a golf club as well as the axe used by that Halloween boss. If you manage to kill a player who is using one of these melee weapons, reskin or otherwise, you'll actually get the heads they have already collected upon their death, so long as you're the one who did the killing blow. Meaning, if you can finish off a Demo Man with a higher body count than you can actually get the full benefits of this weapon with a single kill. And you really shouldn't have too much trouble finding the Demo Men who are using this weapon, since once they start collecting heads, their eyes start to glow with a nice green energy from all the heads they're collecting, because the Eyelander is canonically haunted. Just be mindful that this is a double-edged sword, since while yes, you can get the full benefits of this melee weapon just by finishing off a Demo Man with glowing eyes as they run towards a health pack, you can also be that Demo Man getting picked off as they try to retreat to a health pack. So if you end up getting killed by a Demo Man using the same melee weapon as you might want to say something to your team. That way the Demo Man on your own team will know who to gank up on. Regardless of who kills you, however, this weapon's benefits are lost on death, so if you're struggling to stay alive in the first place because you're trying to go for melee kills in a game where everyone has a gun, consider using the grenade launchers, since pyros who know how to air blast will make the game unplayable for you if you go full Demo Knight. I mean, with the launchers, they can still make the game unplayable, but now they have to actually be good at the game instead of just knowing what air blast is in the first place. No joke, my first nomination in TF2 was against the Demo Knight who kept charging at me as Pyro, despite the fact that I kept air blasting him into a corner and watching him slowly burn to death as I had him die from afterburn. As you probably deduced, this is a perfect example of what I like to call a win more weapon, where if you're already doing good with this weapon, it'll make it so that you'll do even better. But if things don't go to plan, you're effectively shooting yourself in the foot with this weapon. Many players will use this melee weapon alongside the booties on Groot Keep, since the booties bolster your maximum HP, effectively negating the biggest con of the Eyelander. However, since other players can easily prevent melee encounters outside of Groot Keep with knockback effects like the Force of Nature, any explosive, or just gunning you down before you have a chance to close the distance, I strongly advise using one of your many grenade launchers in order to force players into melee combat. I personally recommend the stock launcher since its rollers can move much further than the Iron Bomber, meaning you can smoke players out of their hiding spots more easily. However, feel free to use whatever you're most comfortable with. As for the Demo Man's shields, I've already done an entire video on them, but in short, the Charge and Charge is best for hybrid knights who are struggling to stay alive, the Splendid Screen is best for those of you who are looking to do as much damage in a single Demo Knight charge as possible, and the Tie Turner is for players who care more about mobility than viability. Some of you might be asking about the sticky launchers, and whilst those are good in any game where you can use those, it will result in your other weapons playing second fiddle to their whims, meaning the majority of the kills you will be getting will be with your explosives rather than your melee weapon. And since without the help of your team or shields giving you some sort of damage boost, you'll only be doing 65 damage per melee swing, if your end goal is to go for a kill streak with the Eyelander specifically, the sticky launchers are less than ideal. After all, this melee weapon is incapable of getting random crits, meaning you're incapable of just using the sticky launcher and praying to RNGesus for a random crit to get that kill streak ball going. When using the Eyelander, remember when it's time to retreat. You can't always get the kill, and even when you can, you might die in the approach doing so be mindful of your health. Yes, you heal 15 HP on kill, but unless you're jumping someone who doesn't know you're there, you're sure to take more than 15 damage getting that kill in the first place. So be sure to find spots to safely restore your HP as you wander around the map looking for easy kills, because whilst ideally you'll just kill clueless players all day, you don't control team composition. Sometimes the server is flooded with bots, sometimes the clueless noobs are all on your team, sometimes you're the worst player on the server because you're trying to cut people's heads off whilst the other team decided to go Pybro and Turtle NG. Sometimes the thing you wanted isn't going to happen, and that's life. Make a plan, have something unexpected ruin it, improv something else. All in all, I give the Eyelander a snowball out of 10. This is an excellent melee weapon for players who can get a kill streak going and dominate clueless players, but if you're struggling to get that ball rolling in the first place, you're better off using other melee weapons. With that said, I've been Ian, you have been you, and this has been my TF2 How to Kill Streak Guide to the Eyelander. And with that, I must now make an announcement. The TF2 How to Kill Streak series on this channel will be going on hiatus temporarily whilst I go back and remaster my old Streets of Rogue videos. There are many reasons for this decision, most notably how you all voted for it in the last community poll I had posted, but there is also the factor of how Streets of Rogue 2 is set to have its release sometime next year, as well as the fact that the old Streets of Rogue videos I have on this channel are so old and outdated by my standards that I'm honestly embarrassed by their quality. So to save myself from embarrassment from the sea of new players coming in as Streets of Rogue 2 is released, I'm going to remaster those older videos. So if you don't want to miss those when they come out, subscribe. Otherwise, I've been Ian, you have been you. Thank you for watching.